Hello and welcome to Standside with Cosmetics Business, live here at In Cosmetics Barcelona 2023. Today I'm on the Mintel stand and I'm joined by Andrew McDougall, a Director of Beauty and Personal Care, and also Vivian Rudd, Senior Consultant and Director of Innovation and Insight, BPC, both at Mintel. So, one of the questions we wanted to ask you, and Andrew, I believe you might be taking the lead on this one initially, is what are the hot topics your clients are asking you at the moment? What are the hot trends and topics emerging from InCos and generally speaking?
That's a good question. It's also a tough one when you phrase it as hot topic because it's one of the things where you don't like to call it hot, but definitely the cost of living is probably one of the things that we get asked a lot about right now in terms of value. So that's always a difficult one to answer because when you talk of cost of living, you're immediately drawn into that word, cost and prices. But we at Mintel are looking at much more than that. When we look at sort of trends or hot topics, we look at sort of the drivers behind that and then the pillars that make that up. So budgeting and price is part of that when we talk about value and costs. But also then we have things like premiumization, quality, convenience. They all become really important. So we've been asked a lot about that cost of living crisis. And I believe we probably will continue to get asked a lot because supply chains are going to be affected by that. So
yeah, and companies as well, they want to be sure that they're appealing to customers who are feeling the economic pinch, but without actually having to reduce their prices all the time or rely on promotions. So it's about how to build value into the products as well, whether it's what we call value with purpose or through higher level benefits and so on. So it's kind of a more nuanced picture, isn't it, than just sort of like cutting budgets across the board and making it cheap and making it quick.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you seeing now off the back of that? And I guess more generally speaking, how is that changing consumer behaviours?
Well, consumers that understand we're sort of paring back their spend in certain areas. I think beauty is always a fascinating category when it comes to this, right? Because consumers will pare back, but they'll also just look for the value, as in what product is essential to me. Yeah. So in terms of, are you delivering on exactly what you're saying you're going to deliver on? Is that kind of, does exactly what it says on the tin sort of concept? That needs to become important. That's how you justify value and you build a value proposition with a consumer is, you cannot live without my personal care product. And beauty consumers are still active and involved consumers. They still will buy their beauty products. We've seen that in past recessions. We've seen that throughout the pandemic. So we do know through a cost of living crisis that beauty products are still going to be important. Yeah. There's still going to be a spend, but it's just about how, again, you justify that value and how you build that with a consumer. Yeah. It's that kind of sort of trusted relationship we need to be building.
Yeah, and that's particularly important because some of the questions that we ask is like, how will you change your spending patterns if you have less money to spend? And, some people are saying, well, I'm just going to wait for my products to come on promotion. But a lot of people said, well, I'm going to buy own label brands now. Yeah. So what can brands do to protect their business? And that's something, they're looking to raise what might be seen as sort of like basic benefits like hydration. So we're getting a lot of questions about how can I build a more compelling moisturizer portfolio? What can I use to really spark consumer interest? What can I do with ingredients and so on? So it's really hunting out different areas of value and framing it in more kind of compelling ways, I think, for the consumers while protecting margins as well.
A tricky combo, a balance to get right then in that case. And tell me, how are you going to monitor those changes?
Well, there's a lot that we do sort of day to day, and most market research will do that in terms of the tools that we can rely on. And at Mintel, we're very lucky that we have so many different facets that we can rely on in our sort of day to day sort of platforms that we use. So we obviously are very proud and have our own quality data that we use, consumer data we use. We run surveys in 36 countries around the world. We also have then our new product launch the database, the GMPD, which again will be run in, I think it's over 70 or 80 countries around the world.
82, I think.
I'm glad you had the figure for that. But again, so we'll use that consumer data, which is all really toughly quality controlled. We own all that data, which means we can make sure and we can rely on the fact it's really strong. The product data as well is also unrivaled in the beauty industry for that, so we can look at changes in claims or ingredient launches or things like that, so we can monitor those all together. We also then look at market sizing as a team as well to see how markets are fluctuating around the world. And we also have our trends team as well, which are constantly trend forecasting then based on what they're seeing in all those different regions. And we then also have on top of that sort of the different sort of trend observations that we see on a day-to-day basis. Coupled with that, the idea that we also have analysts in offices all over the world,
Right.
we can really have all those regional and cultural differences. So we can kind of stay on top of that quite well. I don't know if I've missed anyone or anything there.
I'm trying to think. I think you've got everything. Oh, confidence trackers.
Oh, yeah, and of course, yeah.
So we have, ever since the start of the pandemic, we've been monitoring consumer confidence levels in different markets to see how they've responded, first of all, to health concerns and now to financial concerns as well. So we use that as a tracker, which is quite nice because then you can align that with consumer behaviour and purchase patterns and see, they're feeling pretty shaky about their finances, and then we see how that's impacting their product selection and the benefits they're looking for.
So boots on the ground and offering real credibility off the back of that.
Yeah, and we've been doing it for years as well, so we're very confident in what we do, really, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got research going back to the 70s. We have to look at scannable PDFs for them, so it's not something that we want to do that often, but we've got it there, yeah.
And I guess it's important as well to look back at previous data so you can compare it with data that you have today, and therefore you've got emerging trends off the back of that and can clear.
Yeah, and not just that you can obviously always see the emerging trends, but you can also see the cyclical nature of some trends as well. Where it's like, that's actually come back, or it's obviously come back in a different way, but we can sort of see how these patterns emerge. So
I guess sometimes you've got to look backwards to go forwards.
Exactly. And we did really big picture trends back in 2016. We chose 4. And it's been interesting seeing how the interest in them has sort of waxed and waned, and we're seeing a real resurgence in a couple of them. The water trend, definitely, that's really come in big time, hasn't it?
Yeah, in such a big way, especially, and that in loads of different ways you didn't expect. When we wrote about it in 2016, you probably didn't expect into the 2023 to be talking about it in this way, but you are, like, the uses and the demands for it.
Exactly, because I remember the APAC team saying, oh, well, no one's going to be interested in that in Asia, and then
here we are,
Here we are, and they are.
So we've been talking about how companies can future-proof in the years to come. What measures are Mintel taking and implementing to ensure that can be the case?
So for the reports writing, we have sort of AI that can sort of look into how we can basically make things a lot easier for analysts in terms of sort of just highlighting some of those key trends. Obviously, artificial intelligence is still developing on a constant basis, but it's amazing what it can do in sort of picking out some of those key trends. So we're using those kind of tools quite a lot to just sort of stay ahead of the game. We have a very sort of strong data science team that Ben sort of heads up, and the team he has sort of dealing with all the data science and pulling out all the different tags that is related to all that and all the different behaviours. So it's really interesting to see what those teams do. I don't fully understand all the time what he does, but it is absolutely fascinating.
It's amazing. I mean, I've been working with them for consultancy clients, helping them spot kind of like ingredients in the sweet spot. So things that have a little bit of a market tracking record, but offer something really new and different. And you know, if I was presented once with an Excel sheet with about 5,000 different ingredients, and I just wanted to weep. In fact, I did. And then the data science team just said, you don't need to do that. And they took it away, and then they used all the algorithms and stuff. And then suddenly I'm presented with a short list of about 150. And it's like, well, that's more manageable. And then you can really build something from it. And we're using it more and more with clients, particularly with the whole ingredient side of thing. But we're going to start kind of moving it towards claims as well, which is something that, you know, is my presentation tomorrow, please come, is going to be all about.
It's interesting as well, though, because we also have the other like Cypher, which is a patent platform that we use that can really look at all the research that's going in, whether patents are pending or if they've been granted. With that, we also have Infogee, our social listening collaboration that we do as well, so we can track what's going on social media. And obviously our consultancy team, our custom team, on top of sort of the platform that I was talking about earlier and everything that is part of that, we then also, again, have our consultancy team, like your team, are doing a lot more on those custom strategic projects as well.
Exactly, and then really helping clients to dig down into what it means for them with activation workshops and co-creation workshops and so on.
So you have no time to come up for air at all?
No, we're kind of lucky we're here, to be honest. That's a rest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind
of. And finally, what are you most looking forward to about the show?
I'm really looking forward to just seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing faces because although we had the show last year, it's definitely a lot busier here. It's also good to sort of see some of the ingredient launches. So I've seen a few things. Hair care has always been a big sort of passion of mine. So I've seen a few products sort of buzzing around the show, looking at sort of alternatives to sort of silicone alternatives or quaternium alternatives that look quite interesting to take a look at. So I'm interested to sort of see a number of different ingredients on display. I haven't been able to really look around the show too much already at this point.
Hemmed in on the innovation zone, haven't you?
But I do hear there's a lot of good things out there, so I don't know if you've seen anything so far.
I have, yeah. I mean, I keep bumping into people that I haven't seen for years, and you may be able to tell I'm a bit of a talker, so I haven't been on as many stands as I'd like to, but it's really great seeing the patterns come out for the launches. And for one of my particular passions is psychodermatology, so seeing there's a whole new wave of ingredients that are looking to sort of break that skin brain axis. So it's great to see that coming to life here as well.
Absolutely. I think those are both absolutely great points. And, you know, I agree with yourself, Andrew, meeting people face to face, particularly after many years of not being able to do so, and seeing some familiar faces again really, really helps. Thank you so much for that conversation, Andrew and Vivian. It's been really great chatting to you both and getting your insights here at InCosmetics. That was Cosmetics Business Standside here at InCosmetics 2023. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and tune in for the next video interview.